So,
Have you been in the house?
no,
It is totally destroyed,
I'm sure.
you know, and,
I mean, there was, yeah,
you know,
it's too bad because right away it could have been.
if they
yeah.
have.
We'll start the recording.
So since we don't have Jeff, TJ,
Yeah,
Jeff's not coming? Well, I don't know.
He's in Maine.
He's in Maine. So we don't have Jeff, so you and I will just go back and forth.
yeah,
Question?
evidently, I guess I start off. Then it's you, then
Alright.
it's me, then it's you, then it's me, then it's you, and then it's all you.
Okay, recording. You had to go through all of those, huh?
I had to,
It's my Kara Latender.
It's up there. You can either wait in the lobby or you can have a seat in here, up to you.
Oh, it's up to her.
Are we on here? Are we listed?
Oh, okay.
Are we listed correctly? We are. Yes, you are. It's really nice to meet you.
You
Thank you
too.
for coming on.
No problem.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we were just saying we don't have our third member tonight, so we're just gonna go back and forth. We have. It's about 5 questions. Okay. 5 questions to ask, so we'll just take turns asking questions and please let us know if you need any more information or have any questions for us.
and
Where do you?
I'm,
look?
I'm reading the question here.
No, that's not the question, my.
That's not the question.
Uh-oh, right,
Where is the question?
right here.
Oh,
Okay.
well, that's the same thing.
Oh, yeah, but you're gonna use this so you can write on it.
Yeah,
So, Kara, we need a motion to
Open,
open the
open.
meeting,
we open.
and
bang your
We're
gavel.
open. I didn't mean like that. I was gonna say something, yeah, we're open.
And I have a motion to move to 4A.
What you said. Second,
I'm in favor.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay, now.
rough start, it's a rough start today. Okay, welcome, Lynn. So, okay, first question, let's just kick it right off. Tell us how your career has progressed so far. What do you like about your career progression and how could it have been better?
Wow, that's quite a few questions in one.
Sorry, let me re-ask one, because I know it's.
I've had kind of an interesting career. But I took a part-time job 10 years ago in Conway. Because I wanted a part-time job. My mother was getting older and it's hard to find part-time jobs.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. And you know, that's where I would like to finish off my career is in a municipality, working as an assistant or a treasurer, a tax collector. I like that capacity. I like working with the public. I like working in a small town. It's a different atmosphere. I was not from a small town like Conway. I'm originally from Athol, which
Okay.
is up by the Quabbin.
Mhm.
Went to college at Western New England College and got my first job in the Springfield area, and I've stayed, you know, in Western Mass ever since.
Mhm.
So, no, I just really enjoy working with the residents. It's kind of fun, the interaction that you get. Whereas when you work for a large corporation in accounting, other than dealing with other accountants, you're basically dealing with just the auditors.
Sure,
So.
Good.
that's-
Excellent.
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
TJ, you're number 2.
Oh, God. Could you walk us through the collections process and the treasurer's, process that you're familiar with?
Sure. The collections process, where do you want to start? We're issuing the bills or?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay. So for the property tax bills, you would wait for the tax rate to be set by the state. Then you would get some type of an import or a load from the assessor's office. And print the bills. You either have quarterly or semi-annual, send them out. The money would either come in by check or via Unipay, or you could have a lockbox. It's posted. And then you turn over weekly from the tax collector to the treasurer
Mhm.
by mass municipal law. your turnover, and then we reconcile monthly.
Excellent.
As far as the treasurer's position, there are other receipts that come in, although the bulk of the receipts tend to be your taxes. But you have large amounts that are ACH from the state. You also would have turnovers from like the police department, highway department, et cetera, that gets posted through the treasurer's function.
Excellent, thank you. I'm now an expert, but I've learned a little bit since listening to that throughout the years. All right, please describe a time there was a challenging issue with a fellow staff member or a taxpayer, and how did you resolve that issue?
Well, there have been, I guess, some challenging issues on and off through the years with the taxpayers. Sometimes people don't understand. A good example is the excise tax bills. If somebody gets a new vehicle at the end of a year, they'll get a prorated tax bill for, let's say, November, December. And then a couple months later, when the excise tax bills go out for the next year in February, typically, the person may be confused. So the way to explain that is, if they're in person in your office, you can print out the two bills and show them the date of issuance and explain that it's a partial year for the prior year and that the current year is January through December.
Okay.
And also, I typically advise them, because I didn't know it until I went to work at a tax collector's office, that you can apply for an abatement for the vehicle that you traded in.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah,
Excellent, thank you.
so that you're not paying a double tax on the vehicle that you had and then the one that you have just
Yeah.
acquired. You can get like 2 months of, let's say you bought the vehicle in November.
Yeah.
Well, the state is gonna, or the town, the state is gonna charge you for that month, but you would get the month of December back.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
depending on the price of the bill,
Yeah.
it's worth it or not.
Sure, yeah, good to know, thank you.
What qualities are important for the treasurer collector to have to make them successful in a small town?
I think you need to have empathy and relatability to the taxpayers.
Absolutely.
You need to be a little be able to work with them to collect payment. You don't really want to pursue anyone in tax title if you don't have to. If somebody's willing to be on a payment plan. That's something that we have done in Conway is, we allow, if somebody asks for easier budgeting for them, if they want to pay their bill monthly, we'll do that. And what we try to do is get them set up so that they get caught up with their taxes, so they're not paying the interest. And then you get them on a monthly payment, so they're always kind of ahead of it.
Sure.
So they're not really costing them more with the interest.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Please describe 3 specific accomplishments in your career that you consider to be the most significant.
Okay, what are the most significant? Well, I will just say, because this is a municipal job, I will say I was very pleased to pass the 2 exams for the treasurer and the tax collector. The treasurer exam I actually took during COVID, so that was a little wonky.
Yeah.
The other 2 things that I was proud of and enjoyed doing when I worked at Bay State years ago in corporate accounting, I used to do the consolidated financial statements for the health system. And there was a new GASB, generally accepted accounting standards, that came out that changed how nonprofits reported their financial statements. And I had to roll that out to the other accountants at the other subsidiaries to show them how to change their financial reporting. And that was fun.
Sure.
It was. And then the other thing I would say is I had a position at Bay State as a management engineer. And basically what that position did is you would go into departments and look for efficiencies on how to do processes.
Mhm.
So it was a different job than accounting. I prefer accounting, but it was an interesting job, and it was the first job that I went out and met with people instead of just sitting at a desk cranking numbers. So when I went to New England Orthopedics, I met with the dry cleaning service because they used to rent the Johnnies to us.
Okay.
And when New England Orthopedics moved into the building on Bernie Ave in Springfield, they had different areas for hip replacement digits. Digits are your fingers and toes. And instead of having everything put in a supply closet, I did a little management engineering study where I worked with the nurses on each of, there were 4 different wards or floors, to find out how many Johnnies they went through in that 2-week period and had them delivered to their areas, because obviously your digits didn't need any Johnnies.
No.
You're looking at fingers and toes. So that was kind of fun,
Well, that's very.
because again, it wasn't just accounting.
Yeah, it was some problem solving, like,
Yeah.
Excellent. So those are our questions for you. Our last is just, do you have any questions for us?
Just, there's a little bit of confusion, I think, as far as this job was posted.
Okay.
I was thrilled when I saw the initial posting,
Mhm.
19 and a half hours a week. And then it was pulled down, and then it was put back up for 30 to 40.
Okay.
So I was kind of wondering what you're really looking for hours. I had said in my initial interview, I'd be willing to work up to 30.
Okay.
32. I would prefer to work 24, 3
Mhm.
days, 8 hours.
Mhm.
But if the work required it, I'd put in an extra day.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, I have an elderly mother that lives in assisted living, and,
Mhm.
you know, that's why I want time. I like
Sure.
to spend my time with her that I'm not working, but I like to remain working just to do
Mhm.
something challenging and interact with people.
Excellent.
So,
I'm gonna let Christopher answer that
Yeah,
question.
yeah, I'm happy to speak to that. So we initially posted the position based on recommendations from our current treasurer collector, Sarah Hunter.
mhm,
We didn't get too many applicants, so we reposted with slightly different hours,
Yep.
et cetera, just to see if we could maybe garner some more interest. However, speaking with Sarah, she said we can definitely be flexible on the number of hours. You know, there's another position within that department that the town could potentially hire for to fill in any gaps. And after, you know, a training period for a candidate, it's possible we'll discover that, you know, we don't need that additional assistance. We'll have to see.
okay,
But basically the answer is, you know, we can be flexible, I think, with
Okay.
the hours.
Absolutely.
okay.
Excellent. Good.
Because I like to be busy, I like to work,
Sure.
but at this point in my life, I need flexibility.
Understandable. Yeah.
Don't we all?
So,
Excellent.
but I'm very interested in the position.
Okay.
I'm happy in Conway. I lived in West Springfield for 28 years. My
Mhm.
husband and I sold our home. We were on a very busy street, and working at home during the pandemic, it really
Yeah.
got to us. And we moved to Westfield, and it has
Okay.
just made that commute to Conway difficult.
Yeah.
And when this
Understand.
position came up, I was like, oh my God, this would be wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
About like 15 minutes from Westfield.
yeah, well, 15 to 20,
Yeah.
yes. I'm right on the line.
Depending where you are in
Right.
Westfield.
Yeah, I'm lined by Southwick, so take the shortcut by Toccoa and,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start out here in 15 minutes for Las Vegas.
Our chief's not here. Okay, you're good. You're good. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Do you have any other questions for us before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you. You're welcome to stay or head out, whatever. It's up to you.
I think I'll head out.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, thanks.
Today is the 13th. Uh-oh, I see George. That means there's trouble brewing. Uh-huh. June, come on down. So we have our second candidate for interview. Oh, I'm gonna give these to Jeff. All right. How are you? Good. Good. So as you heard, we've got 5 questions for you, and then we'll see if you have any questions for us.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth,
Did you take notes?
same setup.
No. No, because sometimes you don't always ask the same question.
That's right. I know, we're not that creative today. Okay, so the first question I have is, tell us how your career has progressed so far. What you like about that progression and how it could have been better.
Okay, well, I started working initially for the telephone company and I was an installation repair technician, and I became a manager. And when my husband became ill, I decided there was an offer on the table. I didn't have enough time, but with the offer, they kind of made it work. So I left the telephone company and went to work for with my brothers in Texas at a restaurant and bar. And my husband didn't like it there, so we came back here. We were there for almost a year.
Okay.
And then I went to work for the Marriott. And at the Marriott, I was a manager for 3 restaurants and room service. Well, I should say 3. It was actually 2 restaurants and a bar and room service. And while I was there, I got custody of my grandchildren. And so I went to work nights as the night auditor. And I enjoyed that very much because that brought me back into the accounting business. And then, but that was only a couple of, I actually ended up making it just a couple of nights a week. And then I went to work for the Pelzinski Agency in Westfield. And there I did taxes, payroll, accounting, and whatever they needed as far as work was concerned. The owner died, and so I was already the elected collector here. So what I did is I stayed with the new owners for a little bit, but I wasn't happy, and it was more hours than I really wanted to work between town and there. And so I resigned from there and came to work here pretty much for a while full time because the collections was in such a disaster.
Yeah.
So we got the collection part all cleaned up, got the forensic accountant in, got everything done there. And then I was supposed to be reappointed and it didn't happen. So I started looking for other positions. I took the position in Pelham, where I am the treasurer collector.
Okay.
Have been for the last 5 years. And I'm actually very happy there. The people are very nice. It's a very nice little town, but it is a distance.
Yeah.
So, because I live here in town.
Yeah.
So I thought, it would be nice to come back
Sure.
home, so to speak.
Sure.
As far as my career, everything has progressed very nicely. So I'm very happy with things the way they are. And
Good. Excellent. Thank you.
Can
Yeah.
you walk us through the collection and treasurer processes?
okay, the collector basically receives the tax bills from the assessors, who actually, after the tax rate has been set, and then you either get the bills printed or print them yourself, send them out. You can do it either quarterly or semi-annually, depending upon how the town that you're in decides to do it. And then after that, you collect the taxes. And there are a number of different ways that I do it. I have Unipay. I have people who come in to the office and pay cash or check. I also have the CoreLogic that does a lot of the escrow accounts, as well as there's several other smaller ones. that do it as well. One is Loretta, the other is InfoPro. And there's one called Black Knight that doesn't do a whole lot, but they do some. So then they send the payments to the collector's office. I process them.
Mhm.
And then the whatever is left over at the end of the half year, I send out notices because I have it's a kind of like Blandford. It's an elderly population,
Mhm.
and quite often because it's quarterly, a lot of them don't realize because we send only 2 bills a year. So and not everybody, everybody has their own way of doing it, but there's quite a few of the elderly folks that haven't paid their bill. So I usually send them a very gentle reminder that
Mhm.
your second quarter is due, please,
Yeah.
make your payment. And then usually by that time, the new bills are ready to come out, and so they go out. And again, it's 2 bills in one.
Mhm.
Basically, the exemptions are posted by the assessors, and abatements
Mhm.
are posted by the assessors on after the bills go out. Unlike, I know here we used to do it before the bills went out,
Mhm.
but they don't do that. So sometimes I actually end up having to send folks bills, revised bills, because they've gotten either an exemption or an
Okay.
abatement. But the whole idea was to try and save money, any way that the town could save money. So that's what we kind of try to do.
Mhm.
Some people are very happy with that system. Some people don't like it, but what you do is you just try to work with them
Sure.
and get that taken care of. As far as the collections are concerned, once the collections are done at the end of the year, you look at whatever's left over and try to collect once again.
Mhm.
With gentle reminders to begin with, and then unfortunately you have to send a little bit sterner one.
Mhm.
And then if they still don't respond, you advertise in the newspaper.
Mhm.
And you put them into tax title. Fortunately, I generally do not have to go that route. At the moment, I have 2 people in tax title,
Mhm.
and that's it. Most of the people, you send them gentle reminders and they're very good about
Yeah,
taking care of it, especially when you say your name's going to appear in the newspaper.
sure.
So, or we set up a payment plan. I do have a few people who are on payment plans
Okay.
because it's not always possible.
Sure.
So I do have a couple that I have had to turn over to the treasurer, who is also me. And with those people, I also try to work with them. In fact, I just worked with somebody where I collected 4 years of taxes from them. They did do it in a lump sum, and I told them, we could do it in a payment plan, but she said no, she wanted to do it all at once. So I do give people the option.
Mhm.
And it just, you try to work with the taxpayers any way you can. In addition to handling the tax title accounts, the treasurer also handles all the incoming funds from like the fire department, the police department, the council on aging. Our historical society also has some things that they turn over to me as well. The highway department, they all have little things that they turn over. I get those all posted. Everything gets turned over basically weekly
Mhm.
to the accountant. And daily they go into the bank, whether if they're checks, I have a check cashing machine and I just put it through the check cashing machine. So that gets done immediately. Cash, I do have to actually take to the bank. And while I was told by the select board, they didn't care if I held on to money for a while. I don't like to do that. I have a safe that's unbelievable. So people couldn't really get into it, but I generally try to get that in the same day.
Mhm.
So, and then do my turnovers on a weekly basis and reconcile with my accountant monthly. And the same thing with any of the other departments that give me cash or whatever.
Yeah.
And I sign all the checks and send and pay all the bills, you know, via that check that I sign.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much what the
And then-
treasurer does.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh,
Excellent.
well, it's not really part of the treasurer's job, but because I handle the payroll
Mhm.
almost completely, I also am the human resources director as well,
Wow.
because
Yeah,
because I handle payroll, and most of the things that we have, most of the issues we have to do with payroll.
yeah. I'm sure. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. This one's mine. Please describe a time there was a challenging issue with a fellow staff member or taxpayer. And what did you do to resolve the issue?
One of my tax title people, they had been in tax title for like 6 years. And at that point, we decided, after I talked with the assessors and my accountant, and I said, what do we want to do with this person? You know, I didn't want to do it all on my own because he owed us over $100,000.
Yeah.
He had a very expensive house, and he hadn't paid any taxes at all in 6 years.
Wow.
Nothing. Not even the initial tax payment,
Yeah,
which was really strange.
yeah.
Anyway, he was in tax title. We had tried to contact him. I should say, I tried to contact him, though the person before me had also tried to contact him,
Mhm.
and get him to pay. And he never did anything. So finally, after 6 years, we decided, the tax title attorney and I decided that we were going to, because he'd already had a hearing, he'd already been in land court for quite a while. We decided we were going to foreclose on him.
Mhm.
We sent him notification that he could appear in land court and plead his case. He didn't show up,
Mhm.
so the land court foreclosed on him. Which meant that I then had to take and evict him,
Oof.
because he no longer owned his house.
Mhm.
The town owned it. So anyway, once he got the eviction notice, all of a sudden he decided he was going to come up to town, and he didn't come and talk to me. He wanted to talk to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
So when the board was notified of that, they actually asked me to go in and listen and see what he had to say, and see if, you know, what possible solutions we could have to this problem. So anyway, what he wanted to do is he was trying to sell his house because he wanted to move to Tennessee. So he said to the Board of Selectmen, he says, well, can't you just, you know, let it go, and you know, that when I sell the house, we'll give you the money. Well, unfortunately, because he was foreclosed on, we had to set up some kind of either payment plan
yeah.
or some kind of something. And so what I did is I sat down with him and his attorney and my attorney for the tax title, and we came up with a plan that was suitable for everybody. We reversed his foreclosure, and he was to pay a down payment and then every month make payments. And he was told that if any of the payments weren't made, then what would happen is the foreclosure would then be reinstituted.
Mhm.
So fortunately, he did. It took him 2.5 years, and he finally sold the house. And at that point, we got the remainder of the money. He was on a 3-year payment plan. So he was almost at the end of the point where he would have to pay. Oh, the other thing that we actually had him do was he had to keep his current taxes current.
Oh, yeah.
So he did both of those things. And it all worked out well. He moved to Tennessee. We got our tax money, and everybody was happy.
Good. That's good.
He wasn't happy to begin with.
I'm sure not.
We're always happy with happy endings.
Yes.
You're up with number
I'm up with number 5.
4.
number 4,
Yep.
oh. That's how, I'm so poor, I can't even afford to pay attention. What qualities are important for the treasurer collector to have and would make them successful in a small town?
Okay, well, one of the things is you have to listen to your tax, your taxpayers. You have to be able to work with them. And I have quite a few people that I do have to work with. And what you do is, you listen to their story, you let them tell you what their problems are. With COVID, unfortunately, we had some people who lost their jobs.
Mhm.
So consequently, we had to, work extra hard with them. We also have, as I said, we have an elderly population, and some of our elderly people have had problems paying their taxes as well. So what we've done with them is we've used the deferred tax plan that we can do with them, because they fit into that, which means that they don't have to pay their taxes. However, when they do either pass away or they sell their property, the town then gets paid back for the taxes that they haven't paid. And the nice thing about it is that instead of being 16% like tax title, it's only 8% that they end up paying. So their families, in a lot of cases, can actually afford to pay the back taxes and keep the property. Some of them don't want to. Some of them just say, okay, you do whatever you need to do. We're going to try to sell it, and we'll pay the taxes when we sell. So, you just have to kind of work with them. And that's really the important thing is you have to be able to listen. You have to have empathy. You have to be, work with whatever they can do. Some people, can't, there are all kinds of rules and regulations that you're supposed to follow, but if you're actually getting payments, it doesn't hurt to, bend over a little bit to try and get, somebody back on track.
Good. Next one, this is our last question for you. Please describe 3 specific accomplishments in your career that you consider to be the most significant.
Okay, well, one of the accomplishments was when I got the forensic accountant in here and we were able to show that there was a problem. And we got most of the money back, which was also good, between the bond and the Bank of America, where she had taken money from, by paying her own taxes. And I don't know if she ever did end up actually paying back the restitution. I certainly hope she did.
Believe so. I think we have a small one.
It was a small amount because that was the difference between what we had collected and what, from the bond and the bank, and there was just a small amount left. So that's why they agreed to do it that way. However, I don't think she realized that the bond company was going to go after her for what they paid us.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Which I'm sure didn't sit too well, but hey, it's the way it is. But just getting that done was a big accomplishment. And then well, that the issue with the tax title was also a big accomplishment, because that was something that everybody said, oh, he's never going to pay. He's never going to pay. But he did. He paid everything. The way I had it structured and worked out with him, he paid every cent that he was supposed to pay. And that was very, very good. We also had a tax title sale where we had a piece of property that was actually condemned. It had a leak, an oil leak in the basement. And the taxes that were owed were like $50,000 on that particular piece of property, because it happened during the time that the current owner had been in the building, and they just couldn't afford to keep it going. So they just kind of abandoned it. So what we did is we had the sale, and we actually we figured maybe we might get $5,000 or $10,000 for it. We actually ended up getting $40,000, $40,000 for it. And we had somebody who turned it into a community garden,
That was nice.
which was very, very nice. So that was a big accomplishment.
Excellent, good. So our last question is, do you have any questions for us?
Well, like the person who was here before, I kind of had questions about, I mean, you had mentioned something about a training period and whatnot. I don't know, what kind of a training period, because I am already a treasurer collector. How much training you're planning to do. Obviously, you have a different system than what I'm used to at the moment. Just kind of wondering, about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we posted the position, we mentioned in there, I believe, up to a year of training to become the actual treasurer collector. It really is dependent on the candidate. They'll be working with Sarah Hunter, who is our treasurer
Yes.
collector now. And so based off of that, we'll see what the timetable is, but certainly, we're approaching this as if we could have somebody potentially in place as the treasurer collector at the start of FY24. So that's what we're thinking, but again, it's kind of dependent on the candidate that we end up choosing.
Okay. That was really the big thing is what you were looking at as far as timelines and whatnot, and what is the system that is currently being used?
You mean in terms of software?
Yeah,
or-
collection, and probably also the, I mean, at the time I was here, we were using SoftWrite for everything.
Yep.
Are you still using SoftWrite for
Yeah,
everything?
we're using software, yeah.
Okay, and I used SoftWrite in Pelham when I went there. We did, when we couldn't get the collections part to that, and all we could get was just, we already had the treasurer's part and the accountants. What we did is we looked at other softwares as well. So we went with Vadar, and I've worked with both of them, and both of them have their, their good points and their bad points. Either one is fine. They both do the job.
Mhm.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much,
Okay.
June. If you have no more questions for us, you're welcome to stay or leave, whatever. It's up to you.
I
Don't feel like you have to.
well,
George is here, so it's bound to be a show.
that's okay.
All right.
I actually have something I have to take care of,
No worries.
which I normally don't have to do, but I do have something that I do.
Thank you very much. All
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
right, I'm required to do math. It's gonna take him. I'm gonna need to set that aside.
Calculator.
No, it's all right. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Okay, so we're gonna go back to, do we want to start back at the top or do we want to, let's let people who are here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Margaret is the only one that isn't,
On the agenda?
well.
Oh, no, she is. She's on the agenda.
Agenda, but Rain's here, but I think he'll be part of Dave's discussion. So I think Margaret's here.
Dave's like, I didn't invite him. I don't know. I don't know where he came from.
To be honest, he did not invite me.
Margaret, come on down.
I have a motion.
Motion to go back to, oh, actually, it's to Department Reports, Council on Aging. A second,
Second,
all in favor, aye.
me.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, long time no see.
I know. See these two all the time.
I know.
That was the fire department meeting. I guess their meetings now are on Mondays instead of. I thought it was gonna be in your, that's all. That's fine.
I hear you're looking for new members for Council on Aging. Need a
no,
couple more
Just
No?
kind of,
volunteers?
volunteers. yeah.
Volunteers. Okay.
Yeah, we don't need anybody else on the.
No
board.
members, just volunteers. Okay.
Yeah, the reason I'm here is Pat and I have been talking about CPR training.
Okay.
And I think it's important, we have a good group of volunteer drivers now,
Okay.
they're all Cory checked. But I feel it's important for our CPR training
Absolutely.
as well.
Okay,
And Pat was talking about it, he knows somebody that does this training. If we can get, I think, a minimum of 10, it would be $75 a person rather than the 85.
okay,
The Council on Aging, I have 5 people
okay,
that will be taking it, including Heidi, who teaches the exercise. And the other 4 would be drivers. The Council on Aging would pay for it out of their state formula grant money.
oh, great,
The fire department said they have money for 5 that he feels is very important for them to take it, or actually it's mandatory that they take.
okay,
So the fire department would pay for theirs. But Pat and I have been talking about it, and we feel it's probably important with everything that's happened lately for at least 1 or 2 people in a supervisory position at the town hall that are
Absolutely.
here,
okay,
say at least 90% of the time.
okay,
Maybe the town clerk for like when she's here for voting.
Yeah.
The library, at least 1 person.
I was gonna say library, yeah,
Yeah,
I love it, I was just gonna say maybe we can open it up to other boards, but I think that's a great,
Yeah,
the more the better, yeah.
yeah, all departments up here should have somebody. Christopher lives here, so I think we could.
Are you certified, Christopher?
I'm not yet,
Okay.
so yeah, that's
Highway department,
You got 2 fire, oh, good, so you're partially,
yeah.
I'm
so-
certified, I just got my re-upped last year, so I'm certified, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so we should.
Yes, I
probably
agree,
go-
it's very important,
This gentleman's gonna be doing it, it's American Heart Association.
okay,
CPR certification.
do they
So
do you know if it's at the AED training as well?
They do, he doesn't feel that. We really need that part of it.
Okay,
Because we're using it strictly for when we're transporting.
Marty, can you move down in front of that speaker, please?
No.
hi, Mary. Okay, that would be my only question, just because I know that we've had issues with our AED here, but we were just talking about it the other day about how it would be awesome to open it up to town members too, to be able to get the more people from town certified, the better. for the
Exactly.
community, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how other departments would pay for it if it's a town thing. Like I said, COA would be covered, fire department's covered.
So there's I mean, we actually just got a wellness grant from Maya, our insurers. And you know, so we got it initially just for the healthy food snacks that you see in the.
Right.
So we got that. They immediately came back and said, hey, there's still a bunch more money. If
Yeah.
there's anything else you want to do, so I'm happy to reach out to them and see if this is something they would cover.
Oh, yeah.
That would be great, and the
Yeah.
more the better, because I mean, if we want to reach out to all departments and say if anyone's interested. And then if we can fund it, then, you know.
Yeah.
Now, how
That'd be
big
great.
can his class be? Is it a minimum of 10 or?
It's a minimum of 10 to only pay 75 versus 85.
So he's
Beyond that.
maximum maybe 20?
He probably could handle up to 20 at least, because Pat said, you know, we could have. Like the group that, like the fire department that would have the AED training and everything, that could be in the
Separate.
auditorium. Our group could be in our
Yeah.
COA room.
So, and if we were able to receive grant funds, we could even do a couple classes.
Yeah,
You said it was 75 per person?
yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
So-
yeah. I love it.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys want to wait until you find out about grant monies, or if you want to
Well, if there's,
reach out to other departments to kind of push.
yeah, I think if we reach out and see the interest from other departments,
Yeah.
and then, you know, if there's some funding already that we have, you know, so we know we can at
Yeah.
least do COA and fire, and then whatever else we get, we can
Yeah.
increase
I
that.
don't think the cemetery department's gonna be interested.
No. You don't want to try to save somebody?
Constituents are up.
This is just an endless pile of cemetery jokes. Just stored up. Yes, I
TJ.
love it.
Yeah,
That's great.
so yeah, I think it'd be great. Pat and I have been talking about it for a couple months now, and he said, well, we gotta have at least 10, so
Yeah.
we can get the cost down a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I
And
think we
he
can
said, and the
definitely
more
get-
the merrier, really.
They also do like a babysitter training class for young kids for working with like infants and kids. That I
Yeah.
would love to be able to offer in Blandford for like, if we were able to get some sort of a grant or a small fee for anyone, you
Yeah.
know, reaching out to Chester, Gateway,
Right.
anyone interested,
Yeah.
teens.
Yeah, because, like Pat said, he said, this will look good for us.
Absolutely.
You know, we've got the Council on Aging who transports people around and their drivers are
Yeah.
CPR trained, their exercise. I mean, Heidi is already, but hers is running out.
Yes.
So she will do it through us
Yeah.
now.
Good.
So,
Sounds great.
okay,
You always want something from us. huh?
I know, but I'm not asking for money.
I guess.
Oh, my God. Okay,
Wait, I gotta give you a hug before you leave. I miss you. I never see you.
I know.
I got heels on today, sorry. Good to see you, Margaret.
You too. You want to hug too, GJ?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
All right,
Back to you on the menu.
Oh, all right, thanks.
let's go to Dave. Do we see the highway report?
Do you want to do the minutes real quick, or do you guys look at them?
Sure, I have to, no, we can't do June 9th because I have to abstain,
Which one were you not at? I forget.
the 9th.
The 9th. Okay, so.
So, motion to approve meeting minutes of December 19th, 2022 as written.
So moved.
On favor?
I,
And then we'll table the next one.
The other one's stable. Okay. You're able to-
Come on down, Dave.
We don't have anything,
You don't have anything?
no.
Right.
you've got a letter of commendation here for you.
Do we really?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, don't you look at your paperwork?
No.
Damn. I've got to do everything.
No, I have, oh, you know why? Because it's not via email.
It's from the Gateway Regional School District. How about that?
Okay, let me read that aloud. Appreciation for Dave. That's the title of it. Dear Miss Latender, Mr. Cousino, and Mr. Allen, I'm writing to you to commend Highway Superintendent Dave Waldron on his hard work and consistent communication with Gateway Regional School District. After a particularly tricky wintry weather week, I was especially compelled to reach out to share my appreciation for Dave's diligence and attention. Calling snow days is probably one of the most public aspects of my job as superintendent. Given the large geographic footprint of our district and wide range in elevations, it is very stressful to make the right call to ensure that students and staff are not on the roads during hazardous driving conditions, but also to keep a consistent schedule where students can be in school as much as possible for their continuous growth. I am also acutely aware that a school delay, early release, or cancellation is difficult for many families who have jobs and responsibilities during their child's school day. Because of this, I consistently reach out to Dave to get his perspective on the road conditions and anticipated challenges. He is always prompt in his response, even at 4 a.m. or 10 p.m. at night, and provides me with thoughtful feedback to consider. I am so thankful for his partnership. It has helped me to understand that the right call is to keep the students and staff in our community safe. I have been continuously impressed by the community at large after taking this role last year. It is reassuring to know that we have people who genuinely care and who are willing to work together in the different positions within our towns. I felt it was important to share this information with the leaders of your community. Kudos to you. Thank you, Dave. That's a very nice letter that I already read before.
Very good at speed reading, I can tell you that.
Thank you, thank you. You got nothing for us? No?
Nope.
Okay.
Rainy.
You got stuff?
Well, I really wanted to address the whole board,
I'm down.
but you're missing one.
Yeah, he's in Maine. He's off living the life.
It's
He's
not
looking
our
for
first
snow.
selectman. No, actually, and I'm gonna stand because if I sit, I run up the mouth, you know that.
All right, you know,
Okay.
too comfortable.
My reason wanting to address the board was I wanted to wait till North Blanford Road was completely done.
Okay.
All right, yes, there's always more to do, but one of the things on that was. When we started, there was a lot of personnel differences then. Unfortunately, you weren't even here. So it was primarily me and Josh.
Yep.
We had applied for that 2 times.
Yeah.
And during that, the price escalation went nuts.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to say was, one, I thank Dave. Because I believe he did a fantastic job. He was not in the beginning of it. And so it's really hard for any superintendent to walk in and put himself in the frame of mind
Mhm.
of somebody who developed a project that's not there.
Mhm.
And the pricing and everything else had changed so much. Yes, we did have a lot of communication. I've been there many times. A couple times I said, what are you thinking? But he explained things to me, and it's a definitely different thought process, but the outcome was right.
Mhm.
And again, it was a difficult situation for any gentleman to create that length of a road and those four major different processes.
Mhm.
Because I spent lots of time with the state engineers and the the equipment manufacturers, and then the product developers as far as the asphalt, the slurry seal and all this. To get all the specifications in and get it to be approved by the state, which we did get the grant, which I'm very happy for the town. I was very happy for that to have been gotten, because me and Josh worked a lot on it
Yeah.
to receive it. But I just wanted to say that I wanted to say thank you for the town allowing me to be a part of finishing it.
Yeah, thank you for your help.
But I was also saying, I wanted to give a personal thanks to Dave for, I think, accomplishing a difficult job. And I think he did a very, very good job.
He's not gonna be able to fit his giant head out of this room.
This is the one thing, and he didn't pay me that much to say that. So, but no, again, I wanted to make sure until it was all done.
Yeah,
I think I talked to you for last week.
Yeah.
And it was finalized then,
great.
and I said, well, I just wanted to come in and say thank you, because it's easy just to walk away from something like that.
Yeah,
And not, I mean, in all honesty,
yeah.
everybody, I could sit here for a whole day to start to explain my thought processes and how I developed this project
Mhm.
and how we worded things with Josh and me to get this through.
Yeah,
And for him to pick up on all of that, and of course, you had a lot to do with it in the end here too. It's a difficult situation.
Sure.
It would have been much easier if he would have started this project
yeah,
and been done on his own.
yeah.
And I just wanted to
Yeah.
acknowledge
Thank
that
you.
that's
We
a
appreciate
difficult
it.
job, and I appreciate him doing that.
That's helpful to get
Well, we're
feedback.
And we appreciate you stepping to the plate to help get that started.
Yes, I probably shouldn't have.
Oh, you did all right.
But again,
I'm not gonna tell you what Dave said about you, but that's.
I never did listen to it. But again, I want to say thank you to the board.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, because that's gonna be.
That was a big,
something
yeah, that was a big
left.
project.
And typically that type of situation, you do in pieces,
Yep,
and by the time you get the end,
The-
you start
yep.
at the beginning again.
Yep.
So.
and now it's one less thing George can complain about.
And again, you know,
I'm like,
you know,
for another today.
the other thing was, since he stepped into that, he stepped into this job and into that.
Yeah,
And
yes,
into winter, and.
it's a lot all at once. I agree.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Randy.
Thank you.
All right. George, do you want to come on down?
Thank you.
What do you got for us? You got a whole list?
I have a list,
Oh, boy.
all different sorts and things.
Oh, goody.
Don't you know, we have enough lists around here.
I know. First of all,
Yeah.
gotta increase the speed limit on North Blanford Road. The signs still say 30 miles an hour. It's easily 60 miles an hour at most places.
Oh.
So.
No,
think-
thank you.
Think about that.
Okay.
That's
How
good. And aside to TJ, you might be aware that there's a number of catastrophes when people attend grave services for people where other seniors pass out or fall over or die because of the stress of the burial. So you may want to, so maybe you need to have some of your staff trained in CPR I certainly would encourage that
Yeah, but
because,
those staff members aren't there when we do the.
Oh, yeah.
payroll.
well,
So,
He's talking like lawn
no,
maintenance.
can I address one of your concerns that you brought up?
No, wait,
earlier?
let him do his list first.
All right.
We're gonna be
you do
here all
this,
night.
And then,
okay, my main issue for being here tonight is picking up on what Kara did several years ago. Out in the yard back here in terms of
did I do?
spreading mulch. You were successful in bringing together a
Oh, the tires?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you were successful in bringing together a great many town folk
Mhm.
to pitch in and get a project done. And I don't think there's been another one since. And there are numerous things around town that we all see every day that could be improved on with volunteer help that we don't have the money in the budget probably to pay to do.
Like an Earth Day one, maybe something coming up?
An Earth Day, my thought is that the fundamental issue here in town is we don't have enough people volunteering or getting involved in town
Tell me
government or
about
other things.
It's terrible.
And people don't know each other. I mean, I gotta admit, I don't know. Half the families live on Blair Road and Blair Road's 3 miles long. and There's like 8 families on it.
I'm realizing that too. I don't know all the people. I used to-
People don't know, haven't had a chance
Yeah.
to socialize and get together and accomplish things and feel part of the community. And what I'm suggesting is that maybe it's the recreation committee, maybe it's another committee that's formed to do this. But I'd like to see a committee come together and then put out through publicity requests for people to identify projects in the community to make a, whether it's cleaning up the park over here or whether it's putting some trees up around the sign at the transfer station and dressing that up a little bit. But to choose 4 that get suggestions from the community, and then whatever committee that is established would choose like 4 projects for this summer.
Mhm.
And when the weather starts getting nice, they could prepare for these projects by identifying what equipment they needed and what they need to put together. And do it on a Saturday morning from maybe 9:30 to noon, and then at noontime, have a cookout right out here, where we have hot dogs, hamburgers, maybe ice cream for the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And the people could identify with one of these projects and sign up for it and come, and there'd be people who would facilitate. Committee would facilitate the people getting to know each other and introducing people.
Yeah.
Sort of be the party host kind of thing. Because I think we need to get people together. We need to have introductions. We need to have ways of becoming more comfortable with our fellow citizens in town. And I think that hopefully would stimulate people to get involved in other activities in town government and other things.
We need fire department
Fire
members.
department, you name it. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's any department that can't use some volunteer help.
Yep.
So that's my big issue that,
Okay.
and I asked the select board to establish a committee to do it. I'd be glad to volunteer to serve on it and
Okay.
work with it. And I have some ideas of how you can implement it from other things I've been involved in the past.
Okay.
And I think it'd be a good thing, but I would like to see it done before April. So that by April, things are in gear to
Mhm.
identify 4 projects, spread them out, maybe May, June, July and August or something like that, or maybe September.
Mhm.
So that you have the dates far enough in advance, you have the projects identified, you have the resources planned for and things like that. And then we just promote it like crazy and get people involved, and
Yeah.
hopefully it'll have.
So
the best
hard. I
things.
know. I've been trying, I feel like for years to
But-
get people involved.
Yeah, but your project a few years ago was, and I.
I know.
3 years ago.
Well, honestly, I don't remember.
But
We
what-
did, but
It was a huge turnout,
Yeah.
and what I noticed most is people enjoyed
yes, they did. It
participating.
was fun.
I mean, they sort
Yeah.
of picked out their little piece of the action and they
Yeah.
jumped in and they did it. And I think that's what we need to get going.
Yeah.
And we've got to find ways to do it.
I agree.
And so that's my one main thing to come to you
Okay.
about. The other things are more housekeeping things. Why are the flags at half-mast in Blandford and no place else?
You know,
Let
Christopher?
me check what our last half-mast
I think it was
notification
Martin
was.
Luther King Day.
No,
No,
no, there was something in between.
there's no other city in town in Massachusetts that I know of that has flags at half-mast.
Well, I can I can certainly check what the latest one is.
So you don't even know why.
Well, it was him.
I'll be honest, because the number of officials that they lower it to half mast for has grown quite a bit since it's not, I'm not always fully aware because Doug, our groundskeeper, just
Yeah.
gets those notifications. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will I'm happy to.
I mean, they didn't know at the post office why I was there.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Doug takes care of it. So
Yeah.
Doug gets the emails from the state or wherever, and then he lowers it. So he would be the guy. to-
Isn't he aware that there's, he goes to Westfield, none of the flags are at half mast or anything like that? Okay, anyway, that's, it doesn't. Why haven't it half mast if nobody knows about it? Nothing's in the country journal about it, nothing, why is Blanford the only town that has a half mast? The other thing is, right in front of the town offices, we have one of the shabbiest American flags hanging out there that you can imagine.
And George, I agree, and Joanne and I were just talking about it. So initially, we were hoping to kind of hold off on replacing all the town flags until the spring, given that they'll
Mhm.
definitely undergo further wear and tear in the winter. But we agree, I mean, that one is in really terrible
Yeah.
shape now. So we're gonna be working with Doug to get a new one up there.
I think it's a matter of pride that all the flags are maintained. And we don't say, well, we can let our shabby flag fly for 6 more weeks till spring comes and all.
Well, Dave
Change.
was good enough to have the highway department take down the remaining flags that were on the poles going through town. Up North Blanford Road and,
They were getting shabby
and,
too.
I collected them from the highway department. They're up here on the stage right now. And there's a number of them that have to be replaced, and I think we'll have to do an inventory to get what
Where are they?
they're on the stage. On the right-hand side, when you go up the stairs against that wall on the
Okay,
right-hand
I'll
side.
grab it because we're collecting, we got a bunch from Doug's house. And, sorry, could you tell me her name that fixes?
Oh,
them?
Kay Fletcher.
Kay Fletcher, she came in with a bunch that she repaired. And we bought some new ones. They're all locked in his closet now, so. I'll
Okay,
have them
And but all the poles were up there on the stage except for the few that I brought in earlier.
Thank you.
And but we were hoping, I don't know, Memorial Day, we were hoping to do a flag burning.
Mhm.
All right, and we were hoping to get the Marine Corps or one of the other agencies to
Mhm.
come up and do the ceremony for the burning of the flags. And I have a collection of flags down at the cemetery that need to be burned. And we were late. Usually Patriots Day, all American flags in the cemeteries and that are displayed on the streets are supposed to come down except for those in front of the public buildings. And we were late in doing that, and we finally got that part done. Now we have to inspect the larger flags that need to be replaced. And like you said, you already picked up some.
Yeah.
And then going forward, I'm trying to get Jimmy Martin involved. He's a veteran, and Doug, and see if we can get a group up here, not to do the flag bearing ceremony at the Memorial Day parade thing, but at the picnic after. I think it would be very educational for our youth
Mhm.
to see the respect that the military hold for their flag. And this is something that I've been trying to get going for a couple of years.
Mhm.
Hopefully, maybe this year we'll get it done.
Okay, good.
We have a flag
Another item is the
passed for you.
Bicentennial Park. There are 2 benches in the park. Both of them have been damaged.
Mhm.
They need repair, and there's last year's leaves have never been cleaned up in the park.
Mhm.
Is there a plan? Do you have in place a maintenance crew? What department is responsible for the maintenance of that park?
Yeah, so we hired Kristen
Thomas.
Thomas, thank you. Yeah, Kristen Thomas, of Taking Root Landscape Design, so she's taking care of Watson Park and also Bicentennial Park. Part of her contract is once spring comes, she will do kind of a reopening of the park, clean out any leaves, etc. And get it spruced up for spring.
So
Does she do leaves on the brick though, or is she just doing leaves out of the beds?
there's no leaves on the beds. They're all on the brick now. They're falling off the beds.
Yeah,
I can check, but
Yeah.
I mean, certainly we can ask if, she can.
yeah,
break
and
them
she
up.
also did a great job cleaning up all around where the flower gardens were. It was
Yeah,
all full
she
of
did a
weeds
great
and
job, yeah.
everything. She did an excellent job cleaning that out in the fall.
But, you know, I don't see any reason that we have to wait till April to have the leaves picked up in the bicentennial park. Or to have the benches
Yeah,
repaired.
yeah, we can talk to Doug about just raking them up. That's, yeah,
I mean, break them up, sweep up the brick, clean it up a little bit, because again, people are walking through town and you want to be proud of the way the town looks.
Question, Jordan?
Yeah, Marty just asked me Friday when we were having lunch and, does Doug not rake the leaves anymore? Because she said he used to get them all at the back of the building and it's just all leaves everywhere. So I don't know. I wasn't aware of that.
I know that we do a spring cleanup. So
So
come
that's when he does it?
April,
Got it.
we will do a cleanup. We don't do a cleanup right now. It's too
Got it.
soggy and wet and it'll
I'll
just
tell him
destroy
about that
the,
as well.
Now, just for the benefit of my lost of thought here, from the roadway going up the hill, that's the park. From the roadway coming down to the building, that's
town
part
hall.
of the,
Mhm.
okay. We were talking about it the other day, Bob and I thought that's how it went, but I wasn't actually sure.
Yeah, but we don't typically do a cleanup, George, until spring.
But
So,
Is it, I mean, the weather conditions are changing. We don't have,
So-
you know, 4 foot of snow.
but we
But-
don't really budget enough to do like, we don't, in our plans, don't have a budget to do leaf cleanup in the middle of winter. I mean, it's
Well,
February.
it should have been done in the fall and it wasn't
Yeah.
in the fall, so we.
So,
Yeah.
but it's, it's definitely not, that budget, that line item is always one that is pretty close. So I wouldn't say that we could necessarily afford to do an extra cleanup right now. I mean, we can take a look into it, but I wouldn't say it's like a top priority for that.
sounds like it could be a great project for your.
There you
community.
go.
It certainly could, but it also, again, it's the town's face.
Mhm.
And you have the face looking pretty sloppy. It's a shame to have the town that, we want to be proud of. Looking the way it does, and whether it's the flag out front or these things are ongoing maintenance issues that need to be. Somebody needs to take responsibility for us, the point. That's my main issue.
All right, what else you got for us?
Okay. My pet peeve again is the fact that I don't think you folks are watching your YouTube presentations. Because if you would, you'd probably scream. The quality of them is really poor. Somebody will say something and you can't hear them. Or somebody, that mic there will not pick up TJ, or if the other selectmen's here, it won't pick up Jeff.
Yeah,
There needs to be 3 mics on the table. And there needs to be a lavalier mic for the administrator, and there needs to be one over here. So that when the people talk,
mhm,
you can pick up what they say and not sit there and say, what did he say? What did he say?
yeah,
I mean, it's just a shame that you spend the money and you put them out there, and anybody who watches them has a negative effect. It's, again, it's the face of the community, and it's a shame. It's not
I
being
hate to
maintained.
think that my comical comments are not being heard.
Well, not only are they not being heard, but your words of wisdom aren't being heard either.
all right, you got any other pet peeves?
Yeah, I have a few.
Oh, boy,
Question.
we gotta speed it up.
We have a white truck that's usually parked out front, looks brand new.
Yep,
Who's responsible for that vehicle?
town hall,
What do they use it for?
town business.
Town businesses, it gets signed out when.
If my cemetery crew needs to use a truck to get out to the cemeteries, that's the one they use.
Oh, okay.
If we need to go to Boston or to meetings, that's the vehicle we use instead of paying out gas money and for personal use of the vehicles. That's what that was purchased for.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
our custodian, John Hoppy, uses that to make dump runs.
Mhm.
for county.
It's used quite a bit.
Water department
Okay.
uses it.
So it's available in any department in town to use for business,
Absolutely.
which is
For
great.
town business.
Okay. Yeah, obviously. Question about finances.
Mhm.
According to the town bylaws, all the town departments I use that in general terms, are supposed to be submitting preliminary budgets to the finance committee and to the town accountant by February 15th. Once they're turned into the town accountant, are they available to the public to see?
Yeah, so George, so we've just got a few departments left that haven't submitted their budget requests for FY 24 yet. So they're scheduled for next week. Once we get those, I'll compile them into one spreadsheet and I'll make it available in my newsletter so people can take a look at everyone's requests. But we're running a little bit behind just because we had to reschedule the last few departments, but that's.
Okay, but how does a citizen get a copy of that?
Well, like I said, I'll put it in my newsletter and just have we can have a link on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
I looked recently for the town annual report, the most recent one for last July. I could not find it. I could find all the other ones before, but I couldn't find this past year's.
It's posted yet. We're still giving her our comments,
Yeah.
our report.
April 1st, you got the invite. No, I'm talking about the one that we, you come out in the summer.
It's on the line.
Comes out about this time of year.
Yeah, you're talking about the one that.
The fifth-
Yeah, I'll talk to Doris and Mary about it. I didn't realize it wasn't up on the
I mean,
website.
They were able to print out one months ago for me before the annual town meeting. Now, why isn't that one on the website? No, I know, because I was waiting for some updated.
I'm gonna be honest.
I was waiting for some updated information and,
Yeah, that's.
here it is
that's
6
fine.
months later.
We'll just ask them to post it to the website.
Great. Listen, I have the utmost respect for you, but we gotta mash through, I feel like some of these topics are things that you, if you just have a quick question,
What is a quick
reach out.
question? Why
Okay.
is it the latest town report?
You should get on the agenda before, we gotta so
All
tell
right.
me what your next thing is, and we're gonna move along, my friend.
All right, well, I'll come back next week with the rest of them.
Oh, great, come on, what's your next thing? What are you getting?
That's it. I'll wait till next week.
Now, you have brought up something out of a meeting earlier. About the cemetery on Blair Road.
Right.
All right, and the banking.
TJ, what are you doing?
Well, I have not been idle on that, all right, and I had Mr. Cooper come up and show me what he did under the instruction. Unfortunate, Rainey's gone now, but had I known that you had your pet peeve sheet there, that was all put there purposely to hold the banking back. Now, when I had Mr. Cooper up there and he explained to me what Rainey had wanted, because the main thing is preserving that banking. If the banking goes, there goes the cemetery.
Oh, cemetery.
So, what we discussed was, and, I have to go out now and solicit bids on shrubbery, and what I'm thinking is, because we can't plant grass there, because that'll wash. And from what I found from, various, nurseries, there's certain plants that would hold the hill. But when I showed them the pictures that I had taken of the hill, they recommended shrubbery that has a deep root. And like arborvitae or something like that. Another is holly. And so we figured out it's going to take about 25 plants to go along that banking part way up to help hold that hill back, and then that'll hide a lot of the stone that's there, that was put there to hold the hill. Okay, and we'll see what we come up with a price.
You could also augment what you're planning to do with Pachysandra and ground cover.
Yeah,
So that'll spread and hold the
it
ground.
should hold the hill, that's
Yeah.
what they were recommending.
Yeah.
But now I have to look at a cost factor.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what we.
Now,
can
is
come
that
up
in
with.
your budget that you submitted to the town that's going to be reviewed?
I already submitted a preliminary budget to the finance committee and the town administrator, and I meet with them the 22nd to explain the needs.
So you'll have all these costs for that meeting, so that it probably can get
If the
done this
bids
year.
come in as they're supposed to, I will. But I have bids on other projects for the cemetery too, because I got a lot of cemetery stones, like you had pointed out
Yeah.
on Blair Road, that are coming apart.
Right.
And what happened over the years, a lot of these cemetery stones, the people didn't really understand why they were put in a certain way. And they decided that to keep the cemetery stones moving, or the headstones moving, they poured concrete around them.
Yeah.
And those stones are actually 8 and 10 feet long, and half of it is in the ground, and they were put that way so that when the earth moves them, they won't break. And then the cemetery commission would go in and dig around them, straighten them
Yeah.
and stack them, and they'd be good for another 5-10 years. Well, that wasn't done many years before my time on the cemetery, and it cost us $5,000 to do 2 stones in the old cemetery, and one that was decorated for the person that was on the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
All right, to fix his headstone came to $18,000.
Yeah.
So these are not cheap to
Yeah.
repair.
Yeah.
And we don't have that kind of money in the cemetery budget to
So
do all these stones.
I'm gonna pause.
Pardon?
We're gonna move on.
Okay,
So we can continue this next week.
You can ask to get on the agenda
Yes.
for next week
I'm
and
asking.
then just give,
No,
Joanne
I'm asking
Next week's a holiday.
the week after.
Okay.
Next week is a
week after
holiday.
next week.
Okay, thank you, George.
Thank you.
Contact me, George, and I'll get you on, you can tell me what you want to talk about and get you on.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Tell your
Thank you for
lovely
your
wife
time
I said
tonight.
hello.
And
Thank
if you
you.
want my help with the
Yeah.
sound system and the YouTube and all that, I'm more than glad to do this. I've said to Chris numerous times.
Yeah,
Again, I think it's a way to get more people involved if they watch something and they're able
yeah,
to watch it.
just watching your YouTube.
You really know what's watching.
Rest of us right now on HBO. They're not watching our YouTube.
and
But
I think you're
thank you.
for the committee to get these things going.
So, Administration, finance and budget. What do you have for us for the summer?
Well, really just what I just told George. So we've had, most of our departments have met with the finance committee. We have a few more meeting on Wednesday, and then
Okay.
actually TJ, next week, we've rescheduled to Thursday. I hope that works for you. You were the last.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay, great. So yeah, so we'll have our Board of Health and our enterprise funds next week.
Okay,
So yeah, and then hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have, since we'll have all of our requests, we can start looking at some of the other aspects of the budget outside of department requests. So that's where we're at with that. What else is on my list here? Give me a moment. Oh, yes. So I just wanted to bring this up. So Eric Kinshirk reached out about an FY24 contract. So what he was proposing is an increase of $6,000. So that would bring him to 36,000. So it's something to consider. He's gonna come before the finance committee this week just by Zoom.
okay.
So I think it needs to look at some options. There are lots of other towns that are in the same boat that we are. And there's, certainly, Eric's, obviously, I think, his services are great.
Yeah.
And it's just a question of, is this something we want to continue paying for?
Mhm.
So we'll be looking at, options, including, hiring a town accountant, contracting with, or putting out an RFP for other services,
Mhm.
just signing off on what Eric has and
Okay.
and moving forward,
Okay,
or some other iteration of that. So just an FYI.
okay.
Really quick on grants, just wanted to update you that we, Peter Wozniak, who was hired using that emergency management performance grant to do the electrical engineering on the generator, came back. So he issued the report. I can make a copy available. The headline to me is it was an estimate of about 160,000 to cover it. So obviously the select board already voted to award some amount of funding
Yeah.
to paying for the actual generator.
Yeah,
But obviously there's a lot more. So I'm gonna be reaching out
God, we
to,
were looking at like 40,000 was the
Yes,
total.
yeah.
Holy moly,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
probably like everything else,
Whew.
price
Well,
increases,
the-
et cetera.
Wasn't there a grant for the generator?
There was, so we got a grant to do the electrical engineering.
Which
is
was like
what the-
10,000,
It
right?
wasn't even that much, it was
Okay.
2,300.
Okay.
And so we have a report from Peter now, but there's a lot more, obviously, that would need to be done.
So we essentially have about 42,000 set aside for it.
Yeah, so we need to, so again, I'm gonna reach out to MEMA, see what grants are available, you know, what we can do, because obviously, you know, we're
Yeah.
just gonna be able to pay for that out of pocket.
No.
And was there any explanation for $100,000 jump?
Yeah, well, I don't know what the initial quote was for, I think this was actually before I came on,
Mhm.
with, you know, the
Yeah.
generator was voted. But he, you know, this is based off of, you know, detailed work looking at, you know, our electrical system here.
Mhm.
What it can currently take and what we would need to be able to, what it would need to be upgraded to. If this was gonna be, you know, an emergency facility.
So I don't think that we had initially, I know we had not initially done all of that research. We had initially looked at. I think that Chief Mater had reached out. I know that, I think, Tom had worked with him to get a price on a generator. I don't think the research was done to like see exactly the size, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm sure they did some research, but it sounds like this is just more detailed and that we're getting. That's why we're hearing a different amount.
It's still from from the figures that I remember. To this figure, I mean. Something's, to be that far off, something's definitely wrong.
Well,
Now, I don't know if it's the electric system in the building or whatever, but when it was first tossed about. 5 or 6 years ago,
Well,
We
I
were
mean,
looking-
this is,
we were looking at
Yeah.
certain numbers and of course, with time, prices increased. We went to, and this was last year, it was in the realm of $50,000 to $55,000.
so that I think discussion was just adding a second generator. This discussion is getting us up to the codes to be an emergency management.
That's what that
So
other thing was. That was
I don't know
supposed
if
to be,
I think probably what would help here is if I just take a closer look at the report.
Okay.
Pull out some key findings for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
And we can, and, you know, then after I have my conversation with MEMA, we can talk about.
Okay.
What we can realistically do and pursue in terms of grant funding.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But no, I hear you, it's a,
Yeah.
I can see a jump, but not like that.
yeah,
All right. Do you have anything else for us?
no, not tonight.
All right. Action item, we did interviews. So we have our scores. Do we want to go over this now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, so with this, the screening committee, you know, we just asked members to say, you know, who you scored more highly in the interviews.
Okay.
And then we can certainly, I can speak to the references I spoke to. And, you know, any other context.
So I'm looking at TJ's and mine together and they're actually, believe it or not, pretty on target with each other. We both scored Miss Kane higher. So I would say we can move forward with negotiating with her.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay. Yes,
Um,
I mean, she seemed like she was really knowledgeable.
Yeah, and based on her comments, so we could make an initial offer of, I think it was 24 hours a week. she
Yeah.
said she was
Yeah.
looking at.
Yep.
And then I believe the initial, let me pull up the rate we had there. Actually, do you have the job description in front of you? I can grab it.
I don't think I do. I probably do digitally.
There should be a paper copy in Jeff's file.
Yeah, hold on, I'm
Just
just
got a
trying,
little clip on it.
I'm just trying to remember what rate
There it is.
we.
This right here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
these are all the things. Oh, my goodness.
Right, and so we,
Yeah, there it is.
so, oh, well, that's easy to remember, $24. 24 hours.
There you go.
So, yeah, so I'll write her back, letting her know we,
Okay.
we're interested in her. taking the position and 24 hours a week, $24 an hour. And then, you know, obviously that would potentially change if she were to ascend to the full treasurer collector position
Okay.
that Sarah's currently in.
Do we need a motion for that?
So I would make a motion to move forward with the negotiating the position of assistant treasurer collector with Lynn Kane.
I
Second,
would entertain,
Discussion? All in favor?
I,
Motion to approve warrant 15 for payment.
That's from a couple of weeks ago. We haven't had a meeting since January 26th, so that's an old one, and then 16.
Oh, so let's do motion to review, to approve 15 and 16 for payment. Is there a second?
second,
Discussion? All in favor?
I,
Okay, so we did, I signed this here. I'm gonna give this to you. This right here, oh, let me wait. I'll wait till we get to it. Review the appreciation letter for highway department. Did that, check. Review and act on Kevin Green.
If you don't mind me telling you about these next ones, they're just catching up on paperwork that didn't get done because.
Okay.
of time constraints.
Because of me being MIA
And
for a
of
little while.
course, Adam is new, so it's the town clerk's paperwork for Adam. That's all. It's just.
Okay. So a motion to appoint Kevin Green to finance department for the term December 12, 2022 through June 30, 2025. Second,
second,
discussion, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Motion to appoint Adam Dolby to the position of forest warden for the period of February 13th, 2023 to June 30, 2023.
so moved,
Second, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Motion to appoint interim fire chief Adam Doby to the position of emergency management director for period February 13th, 2023 to June 30th, 2023.
so moved,
Second, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Motion to appoint Chief Jennifer Dubiel as emergency management for the period of August 17th, 2022 to June 30th, 2023.
so moved,
Second, all in
the
favor?
Papers are in the red folders to sign.
Thank you. I think I passed that.
Yeah.
on to you.
you already passed it on to me, these are all fine.
I accidentally signed the 9th. Let me just, I shouldn't have signed that. I
You
should,
sign what?
then January
Minutes
9th.
from the 9th.
Oh, that's the way that's for.
Okay, I'll just let you wait it out. I won't scribble it. Okay, what is this here? Sorry. The city town owner agreement?
Yeah, so that's for another property that through that community development block grant, they'll be able to do housing rehabilitation work on.
Okay, so this is for a specific,
Right,
this,
there should
this
be,
address.
there should be an address.
Okay.
there.
Got it. Well, good. This is the first one, I think. That got to the stage, no?
I think it's at least the second.
Second,
but-
all right.
But yes, it's good to see it actually paying off.
Yes, that's great. All right, is that it? Do we have anything?
Able to read that one.
All right, hold on, let me get back into my email. It kicked me out. We were so long-winded. These are for you to shred, Joanne, that pile there.
So I can say the ones I noticed. So I actually need to speak with Adam and former Chief Mater because the fire department expense is pretty well expended.
Okay,
And I know Chief Mater had mentioned wanting to do something at a special town meeting potentially.
okay,
So let me connect with him. I have to call him tomorrow morning anyway. And I'll see what, potentially we need to do. I mentioned it I think in a text to everyone on the board, but we're looking at potentially a small special town meeting in March, just so there's a few items to take care of. The last payment on the North Blanford Road project,
okay.
and a couple other items, so could potentially include any transfers needed.
For that.
At that point, yeah.
Now, the fire department doors, they're all done now,
I believe so, yeah.
There were 2 signed packages today, so you've got 3 more to sign. Sorry.
Don't get writer's cramp.
And then the other
Ooh, where's
one-
my cheat sheet? Where are we? 58.
Who did that for you?
I thought you guys did that. Did you do
I
it?
did that.
Christopher did that for us. 58, this is such a special ed thing. I love it. 58%-ish.
Yeah, the other one obviously is utilities. So, well,
Oh,
a couple
yeah.
thoughts on that.
It's just the front.
Peter Langford pointed out that actually he was comparing his municipal light plant electrical bill to his
Okay.
personal one. And he realized because we're not using a competitive supplier, we're potentially paying a bit more than. we should.
Okay,
So I'm gonna do some shopping in that department. But
yeah,
but ultimately, we'll
yeah, that is a little bit high.
and it's again, something we might want to address at a special town meeting is transferring some funds, because there are some other accounts that are really not expended at all.
Yep.
Can I ask a question,
Oh,
please?
yeah, fire department expenses.
Yeah.
Hello?
And the chief mentioned there were a couple vehicle repairs, and that's why why
Yeah.
his budget is shot.
Does Mark Boomsma know about his tree warden? That he's at 72?
Yeah, I can check in with him on
Okay.
that. I think usually he does, he does a whole
Like
bunch of tree
chunks,
work
yeah.
in the fall, the summer and fall, and then he has a little bit left in the spring. But I can check and see and make sure he's
Okay.
aware.
So highway overtime's almost out, but I know he uses the ice. Right?
Yeah, and I had spoken with accounting about that, because I think they needed to do a reclass. Because there was.
Oh, there was
There was a very early snowstorm in like November,
Okay,
and something got classified as overtime when it should have been snow and ice labor.
okay,
So I think that's what's going on there, but I will check.
okay. Yeah, because we'll have that little chunk of time that we won't have any overtime. Council on Aging, their admin support, if that's a stipend, then that's gonna be almost out.
It's always just, she gets money from the state, she
Okay,
goes
okay.
through it, and then she goes through. her
This is
other-
gonna be like, which one did I used to ask Josh about every time?
That's it.
IT.
It's his now, because he knows how to answer.
Library expense is a little high, but I think they buy in chunks too.
Yeah, I can check with Nicole if there's anything we need.
We'll check with the trustees.
But yeah.
Other than that, yeah, it looks okay.
Yeah,
Okay, you got anything on there?
The visiting nurse. Is that, for home visits?
no, that's a grant that Jennifer got, so we have a nurse who comes here, I think it was initially like once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a grant that she's gotten, and that's why that's mostly expended is,
No, okay,
paid for it. once.
all right,
Yeah.
because I know there's, registered nurse that's working with the Council on Aging.
That's her.
That's her?
Yeah,
Okay. All right,
all right,
Can we go home?
we can go home, 7:30. Beautiful. Okay,
I will.
St. Patrick's Day, where's our parade committee?
For sure, next week.